Honorable Member, that would not be the first time we are raising these things. But I don't want to be offensive. But one leader one time said, sometimes you work with the people and you have the feeling like you are working in a cemetery. Because there are so many people under you, but nobody's listening. We have said these things many times, that there should be ministers, and the sectors are known to respond to these urgent matters and deal with them so that we move on. But here we are. What motion? Pakwach?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of urgent importance. Right Honorable Speaker, about a week ago, there was a medical camp in Pakwach Health Center 4 where by over 380 were had surgical procedure of hernia and the hydrocele. As a matter of follow-up, Right Honorable Speaker, I visited the Health Center 4, but notably, Right Honorable Speaker, this is what the medical team informed me that is of urgent importance that I want to put to this House, that hepatitis B and bilharzia are one of the major causes of death in Pakwach district as of now. Right Honorable Speaker, the two diseases have similar symptoms. Most times the patients vomit blood or are short of blood in their system. And Right Honorable Speaker, because we do not have a district hospital, neither do we have a district ambulance. When they go to Arua Referral Hospital for blood, many times I was told that the blood that they are given is not sufficient to sustain this alarming situation. Right Honorable Speaker, my prayers is that there should be a quick and robust intervention by government to address this situation, because the rate of death is alarming, and if not addressed very fast, our population may soon be depleted. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, some time back, we did present a detailed report here on the state of the health sector in this country and the gaps that we're actually experiencing. Right Honorable Speaker, the member has talked about two things: the causes of death, the challenge of lack of an ambulance, the challenge of lack of a general hospital. And these are some of the things that we stated in that detailed report. We have written to the Ministry of Finance, and I strongly believe the ministry is trying to find resources to enable us deal with the gaps, specifically in regard to having health facilities in the different parts or districts in the country. We are addressing the issue of the health center 3s. However, when it comes to the health center 4s and the general hospitals, we still have a challenge. And of course, that also takes me, Right Honorable Speaker, to the challenge of the ambulances in this country. Right Honorable Speaker, government has tried its best to procure ambulances, and from our own statistics, we have ambulances in different parts of the districts in the country. However, those ambulances are not doing the work that they're supposed to be doing because of lack of adequate funds to actually run, maintain, and provide fuel for these ambulances. So, Right Honorable Speaker, as we speak now, As Ministry of Health, we have come up with an ambulance policy which is awaiting discussion in Cabinet, so that we have a standalone ambulance service away from the facilities. So that if there is any need, somebody just calls, like the Uber, like the way Uber is operating now. Just call, and the call center should be able to detect which ambulance is nearest to you. Yes, because Right Honorable Speaker, if you go now to any hospital where we have sent, yes, that's the policy that we're coming up with. So, Right Honorable Speaker, right now, even if we gave an ambulance to these hospitals, when you go there, they'll tell you to fuel the ambulance to bring a patient. So, Right Honorable Speaker, this is what we're trying to do. So, I request my colleague to be a little patient, but otherwise, the Health Center 4 in Pakwach is operational. She has talked about the challenge of blood. Right Honorable Speaker, time and again, I have stated on the floor of this House, we have no factory for blood. The factories are each one of us. And when we come to collect blood here in this Parliament, Right Honorable Speaker, we always get disappointed. The last time, the statistics from the Uganda Blood Transfusion Service, we got just about 20 units of blood from this Parliament. And yet there are very many eligible people. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I know Honorable Dongo Toll raised the challenge that when they go to some facilities, they are charged. But, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to request colleagues, we have a blood drive now. Please let us donate blood. Every eligible person, please donate blood so that we can be able to avail this blood in our hospitals. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Procedure?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I rise on a point of procedure, specifically Rule 217, which requires a minister to submit to Parliament an action taken on a resolution or a directive by the Parliament. Right Honourable Speaker, it's more than 6 months now since the Minister of Agriculture was directed by this House to report back on the actions it has taken in filling the vacant position of Deputy Executive Secretary in the Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization. At that time, the minister...
Just deal with the procedure, please. Deal with the procedure issue.
So, Right Honourable Speaker, the procedure issue I'm raising that is the House proceeding well when the minister has failed to come back and report to the House on the action he has taken since he asked for 2 weeks and it's now more than 6 months. Would it proceed right if this House directs the minister to come and report to the House on the progress or action he has so far taken?
Clerk, extract this minutes. The minister responsible for this sector should come to Parliament on Tuesday afternoon to give us a report on this, the status of this particular office and officer. Tuesday afternoon, 2 o'clock.
Guidance, Mr. Speaker.
Procedure.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise on procedural guidance from your chair. It's very important. The Minister of Health has just said there is no factory for blood, that even in this institution of Parliament, they came to mobilize for blood, but they did not get enough blood. The guidance I am seeking from you, Mr. Speaker, is whether the Minister can come and make a formal statement to this House on the status of blood in the country. Because in some hospitals in Kampala, you pay 3 million shillings to get blood. People are giving blood for free. The hospitals are selling the blood they are collecting for free. So I was seeking guidance if the minister can come and give a comprehensive statement to the whole country so that the unsuspecting members of the public can help us arresting those health centers that sell blood. I'm seeking guidance. This is a very important matter. Without money, you cannot get blood in all the health centers, and especially the private ones. I seek your indulgence, Mr. Speaker. When we are giving it for free, they just give you a soda and biscuit. But from there, they are selling it. I seek your guidance.
It sounds like a point of clarification by the Minister, please.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, it's very unfortunate if there are some institutions or private facilities selling blood. Blood is supposed to be given free of charge. It is supposed to be given free of charge. So, Right Honourable Speaker, allow us to do some investigations with the help of the Honourable Dongoto and others who can give us information, and we'll come to this House maybe in a month's time after doing our own investigations and report. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Bukoto, South.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I rise on a matter of national importance. Right Honourable Speaker, from Monday this week, the down powers in my constituency, very heavy ones, covered 2 parishes, that is Busubi and Nakatete, destroying homesteads. All the houses' roofs have been blown off, plantations, everything has been put down, and this has been going on in 10 villages. That is to say, Dongwa, Nakatete, Bunyere, Degeya, Chakanyomozi, Chamaganda, and Chiriangoma. Right Honourable Speaker, these down powers, this is not the first time. It has been constant for the last 4 weeks. And this one has been the worst. Therefore, Right Honourable Speaker, I call upon the government to intervene and give support of relief to these people who are affected. My prayer, Right Honourable Prime Minister, Right Honourable Speaker, is the Office of the Prime Minister extends relief to the affected individuals by providing iron sheets, seeds, and some financial support. I beg to lay on table the proof.
Necessary, Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, just like I stated here yesterday, when we get these reports, that I will be happy to receive from my colleague, and sometimes supplemented by the Chief Administrative Officers who are the District Disaster Management Chairpersons, we critically analyze the reports where we think the community can recover on its own without necessarily being given relief support. We may not, we just advise accordingly. Where we think the community's lifeline has been disrupted to the level of desiring some intervention, we also act accordingly. I will be happy to receive the report, and then we'll make an intervention.
Thank you. Honourable, please pass the report, which should have been already by now with the Office of the Prime Minister. Give it to the Honourable Minister and the process according to Dongolo South.
Item 3 on the other paper.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance regarding justice and human rights of our people. Mr. Speaker, one senior commissioner of police, Joy Laguma, was arrested on the 22nd November 2017. He was produced at General Court Martial on the 27th November 2017 and charged with unlawful possession of firearms, and on 14th February 2019, High Court ruled that he should be released and be paid 200 million as damages, but up to now, so he has not been released and he has not been paid. Mr. Speaker, SCP Aguma is still in detention at Matkinde military barracks. He has been detained there for more than 3 years.
The family cannot access him. He was a breadwinner. Right now, Mr. Speaker, his children are not going to school. They are at home. His sick mother, a widow, is also suffering, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the family and our members from Lango community are asking for the intervention of this parliament, because right now, SCP Agoma is still illegally being detained at Makindye military barracks. Mr. Speaker, we want to know the intention of government by keeping our brother in detention up to this time, with no explanation. 2 years, we cannot access him. He's not being seen, and he's suffering in maybe safe house, I don't know. For 2 years, senior superintendent of police, he was arrested together with the Inspector General of Police, the former. But the former has been released. But our child from Lango has not been released. We don't know the crime. The court has clearly stated he has no case, and it was dropped. The case has been dropped. He's supposed to be paid 200 million for damages. So, Mr. Speaker, we are asking for intervention of this parliament that our child be released.
No, the minister is here. You don't
the minister is here.
Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. No one should suffer injustice unduly. Assistant Commissioner of Police Joel Aguma, first of all, was not arrested together with the Inspector General of Police. That is not factually correct. They were arrested on different occasions for different reasons. 2, Assistant Commissioner of Police Joel Aguma was arrested on more than one charge. One has been discharged, the others are still outstanding, and the court process is going on. So it would not be correct to say we should release him when other cases are still ongoing in court, which demand his presence where he is. But once these are discharged, certainly the process of law and the court processes, which will determine which way to go, will be adhered to.
Thank you. Can we now go on to other people? Clerk.
Item 3 on the other paper, laying of papers, report of the delegation on benchmarking this, the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, National Assembly of Nigeria.
Member for Dokolo District.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay on table the report on a benchmarking trip to the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies of the National Assembly of Nigeria. I beg to lay.
The records capture that.
Right Honorable Speaker, as always done by this Parliament, a delegation was constituted to go to Abuja in Nigeria to study the status of the Institute of Parliamentary Studies. It's one of the institutes quoted in the continent as having the best practice. Right Honorable Speaker, the delegation was led by me, who is the presenter of this report. For the purpose of record, Mrs. Cecilia Atim Ogwal, Barbara, for the record. Protect me, Right Honorable Speaker.
That was for the record. Because if you say me,
and I
me?
was accompanied by a member of the steering committee and a legal officer. Right Honorable Speaker, we were able to understand when we were in the institute that the institute was established for the purpose of servicing only Parliament. That is to carry out the report, write reports, help to make, to amend the laws, and help sometimes to structure motions or carry out legal reviews. But the institute proved to be very useful not only to Parliament, but also to the entire country and the region. So the status of the institute was changed from the Institute of Parliamentary Studies to the Institute of Parliamentary Studies and Democracy. And I'm happy to report, Right Honorable Speaker, that that institute, because it is of great importance to equip members of Parliament to articulate unique and specialized issues, that it was felt that that institute should not only service the Parliament of Nigeria, is now serving the interests of ECOWAS, the entire western, the western part of the continent of Africa. So it's a very important institute which is very well structured, and right now it has a modern state-of-the-art, modern new site which is housing the institute. What we learned there, Right Honorable Speaker, is that the institute must be owned by Parliament, must be owned by members of Parliament, and must be run and guided by the members of Parliament if we are to benefit in full what this institute will be doing. In Abuja or in Nigeria, the institute is chaired by the Speaker of the Senate, and it has 6 members of the Senate and 6 members of Parliament.
Honorable, and you're going into the full details of
I am giving the summary only. I want members to appreciate,
please,
because this particular report will help and guide members when debating the bill on the IPS. So, Right Honorable,
kindly stick to the rules, please.
Yes, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I wanted to inform members that it is very, very important that members of Parliament and the Speaker of Parliament must take interest in ensuring that the policies of this institute will take care of the unique interests of members of Parliament. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we have come back better equipped, and our mind has been open to other areas which we had not known when we moved our bill. So we pray that when the IPS bill will be brought to Parliament for second reading, we will welcome amendments to enrich the bill to serve the purpose of Parliament and the staff. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Clerk, please schedule this matter at the same time with the time we're handling the IPS bill. And this report should be read in full just before the open debate on the principles of that bill. Thank you. Please make that happen. Next.
Item 4, responses by ministers to issues raised. 1 on the current security situation.
Honorable Minister. Honorable members, recall that this matter was raised under Rule 46, and that rule applies accordingly.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, on the 3rd of September this year, Honorable Zake Francis, Member of Parliament of Mtiana Municipality, while raising concerns regarding the current security situation, made outlandish accusations and allegations to the effect that perhaps security agents and agencies are behind the insecurity incidents we are witnessing right now. This is absolutely far from the truth. In order for us to fully understand and appreciate the current security situation, it is useful for us to pause a little and reflect back on our recent history. Early last year, in 2018, about April, we went through a period of security anxiety marked by murders of women in Entebbe and Nansana, kidnaps and assassinations. I came here on the 9th of May 2018 and made a statement in relation to that situation. I shall therefore not repeat what I said then. In June last year, to be exact, on the 20th of June 2018, His Excellency the President of Uganda took it upon himself to address the nation through this very august house about the security situation. In his address, he explained 12 action points. He informed the country that government would take to address the security situation. Some of these action points included installation of the CCTV cameras, recruiting and deploying local defense units, fingerprinting of guns, establishing the forensic laboratory to assist in scientific investigations, to require every vehicle to have electronic number plates, to reintroduce the 9/9 police response system, to address the question of social media misuse, to outlaw the wearing of hoods, especially by border riders, the introduction of helmets with illuminated numbers, the introduction of more scanners at public places, to regulate the use of drones and UAVs, to encourage installation of private CCTV cameras, and to address the socio-economic conditions of our society. These are the 12 points he said government would undertake to address the security situation. So where are we now on some of these action points, and what have been the benefits? In relation to the CCTV cameras, in phase 1, which was planned to cover Kampala Metropolitan Policing Area, we now stand at about 70% of installation. We hope to conclude installation of CCTV cameras in Kampala Metropolitan Area by the end of September 2019. Then thereafter, we will proceed to phase 2 and phase 3 to cover the rest of the country. We have recruited and deployed a number of LODU units. More have been recruited and will soon be deployed immediately after their training. The 9/9 police speedy response units have been reconstituted. We have fingerprinted nearly 68% of the guns within the police force, in the army, private security organizations, and held by private individuals. The exercise is continuing in the east and northeast and north. The question of the forensic laboratory to assist in scientific investigation still lies with this august House. I would like, therefore, to appeal to you, honorable members, to expedite the process of the establishment of the forensic lab. We continue to work on all the other action points, and in due course, I shall be briefing this august House on the progress on these actions that we shall have taken as and when necessary. So, what are the benefits that have accrued so far? In December 2018, you will all agree with me, honorable colleagues, that we had one of the most peaceful Christmas celebrations we have had in the recent past. On the 3rd of June this year, we had nearly 3 million people gathered at Namgongo shrines for the annual Martyrs' Day celebrations. There was no major security incident apart from minor petty thefts. Recently, my colleague, the Honorable Minister of State for Internal Affairs, released the annual crime report. In that report, he clearly demonstrated that there is a noticeable decline in crime in nearly all the types of crime. These achievements, honorable colleagues, are commendable by all means, and they are not accidental. Rather, they are a product of deliberate actions by the security agencies. Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, in spite of these achievements, it is also true in the recent weeks we have witnessed disturbing trends in the form of murders of especially border riders and some kidnaps which have resulted in deaths or murders. Let me now turn to these events. Let me begin by making some general statements. There is no society that is totally crime-free, Uganda inclusive. The duty of every government and security agency is to minimize the occurrence of crime. And that is precisely what we are struggling to do here in Uganda, as I have just demonstrated. Secondly, on the balance, the security situation is actually relatively good. The apparent bad situation is a social media hype. There are many good acts that the security agencies have achieved, but are not talked about. But when one bad incident occurs, it makes rounds in the social media and creates the impression that the situation is so bad. By the way, on the flip side, the social media hype is actually good. It informs the general public and increases their awareness and alertness. The security agencies have tried to understand what drives this new trend I have just alluded to. And we have concluded that there are certainly factors driving this trend. These include, but are not limited to the ones I'm going to mention. One, politics is one of the drivers. The greatest success of the NRM government has been and is, among others, its ability to provide security of person and property to Ugandans. Our population understands and appreciates this. This is why the population has always voted in the NRM so that it can continue to guarantee their security. Many detractors of NRM know this and are now attempting to create the impression that NRM has failed to provide security. Drug abuse. We have noted with concern there is a perceptible increase of drug abuse, particularly among the youth. This abuse unduly influences their behavior patterns. C, recidivism. Recidivism is a term that refers to a situation where an individual has served his jail term and when he is released, again commits a crime and is once again jailed. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, you will all recollect the video clip which showed two individuals strangling a boda rider. You will also remember the broad daylight robbery at a hardware shop in Nansana and the robbery at Kanyanya. At least you will also remember the attempted robbery which occurred in Imbali, which resulted in the death of one policeman. Security has been able to establish that all these four incidents were carried out by one gang. These individuals had been in prison in Luzira together. They were released in April this year, and soon after, they resumed their criminal acts, some of which I have just mentioned. The good news, however, is that this gang has been dealt with. During this same analysis, we as the security agencies have also carried out a self-examination and an analysis, and we have established that there is a need for self-rectification. For example, we are going to improve our 99 and fixed line call system so as to improve our contact with the population and our response time. We shall also improve our command levels for both the LOU units as well as at the police station level. We are going to improve monitoring of our officers at the reception counters at police stations. We have further noted the following challenges. One, there are quite a number of duplicate telephone handsets in circulation. These duplicates make it difficult to track dubious callers because their IMEI, the identification for each phone, are of course duplicates. Two, we have also noted that the crime of snatching vehicle number plates is inadvertently helped by the tedious process of replacing number plates. We, the security agencies, are now engaging URA on this matter. Three, acquiring CCTV cameras for private individuals is still expensive. We are now engaging the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development with a view to review the tax regime on this. Removing the tax altogether would be a desirable end so as to make CCTV cameras for private people more affordable. We are taking this line because we have seen how some of the private CCTV camera footages have been helpful in fighting crime. Let me now turn briefly to the specific matter of murder of border borders and kidnaps. I'd like to state that government is carrying out multi-sectoral consultation between the Ministry of Works, Communication and Transport, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Security, Ministry of Kampala City Council Authority, and the Ministry of Local Government with a view to coming up with a policy guide on how to control and manage the border industry. The outcome of this multi-sectoral consultation will feed into a committee chaired by the Prime Minister on this same matter, and the resolutions thereafter will be used to assist in the management of this industry and hopefully improving the security of the same. In as far as the kidnaps are concerned, as we continue to implement the action points that His Excellency directed, and as we continue to build capacity, we are sure we shall address this challenge as well. In conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, security is not as bad as is being portrayed. It is continuing to improve. I'd like to encourage all of us to avoid politicizing security. Security is a common good. Let us all work together on establishing security. I would also like to particularly thank the general public for their awareness and support. Together, we Ugandans can make Uganda a much safer and better place to live in. For God and my country, I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, honorable members, this matter is under Rule 46. Ask the honorable member from Michiana Municipality to ask his supplementary questions. Can they deal with the question, supplementary question? Supplementary question.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I also thank the Honorable Minister for the immediate response and trying to answer, though he has not satisfied my question I asked him. My question was specifically about the kidnaps and the murders going on, especially in these days. I gave you an example, yes, of how the relatives are not being helped by the police. We've seen this and we've read it everywhere. I indicated that in the case of the murder of James Kalumba, I even sent you the evidence to actually investigate. We are not politicizing in this matter. These things are real. People are kidnapped every day. People are murdered. Yes, some of the cases we come up with, these are just a few cases, but so many cases go unheard. So about this very issue, even as we are talking right now, there is someone else who is also being kidnapped. Even right now, we are going to see the news. We are going to read about these things in the newspapers. So this is not specifically being handled. We are not politicizing this matter. People are kidnapped, people are taken away. So my supplementary question is, what are you doing in these cases to help the relatives to get justice? Because police is not responding to them. Another question, you've talked about the emergency lines that you're going to improve. You always promise about these emergency lines, but I've tried out myself to contact the 999. I can tell you can spend the whole day. I've even put my boys around, my fellow youths, to always try these numbers. They never pass through. They always tell you that our officers are busy. Our officers are busy. So these emergency lines do not help. Even the private numbers for your police officers in different polling stations, whatever, police stations, they do not pick up. They do not help. So please address this issue. It is very, very important. And also, you've talked about the people who are committing crimes, that these are the people coming from prison. As government, what are you doing to help these people who are coming from prison to do something? You just release them and put them to the public, and they have nothing to do. As you are aware, we have a problem of unemployment, and this is the reason as to why all these crimes are coming up. Please do something as government and come up with relevant policies to help out with this so that the security situation in our country is improved.
Honorable Minister, can you deal with the supplementary questions?
Right Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to, first of all, thank Honorable Zake for what he has additionally raised. But let me say this. You see, early this afternoon, Right Honorable Speaker, you cautioned us about making unresearched statements. And I would like to follow from that. It is helpful not to talk in generalities. Kindly, if you'd like us to work together, as I have appealed, let us be specific. There are indeed some cases which we make, but which cannot be proved, and it becomes difficult. It becomes a ping pong. That makes work hard, and it wastes a lot of time. So my appeal, let us be specific, let us work together. I am completely sure that we will be able to come to the bottom of this. Secondly, you know, sometimes when you ask, what are you the police doing? I am reminded of a situation of a child who had a very good meal, then went around to ask the mother, did you put salt here? What else did you put? Enjoy the meal. Don't bother about how the mother cooked the food. Thank you.
Procedure.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I am in difficult. Matters sometimes raised as matters of national importance end up generating statements like the one the minister has just delivered, which ordinarily I think, Mr. Speaker, should have fallen under 51. But the difficulties I am in, the reason I am raising a procedural issue, the minister raises issues of policy, pleading that people should not politicize security, but himself politicizing security. Right Honorable Speaker, the people who are serving in this government, including those who joined it yesterday, always want to take credit for the security. the Honorable J.J. Odongo knows, and he's written, the past governments were also providing security. In fact, when they were arresting criminals, some of them, including Honorable J.J. Odongo, were helping them to escape. I think you remember how you helped Salim Saleh to escape. Yet you were serving government. But also, the ministers in this government and serving soldiers, if you've read the book of Mateo Charigonza, the Honorable Pecos Kutesa, they clearly state that their job was to make sure people in Kampala go to sleep by 3, written. And you've read these books. They were engaged in acts of terrorism. The fear I have, Honorable Speaker, people who are going to read history and they are fed on this falsehood that the Honorable J.J. Odongo begins by condemning.
The procedure?
Yes. The procedural issue I am raising is exactly that. That this Parliament owes it to those who read the answer. That when matters of this nature were presented and required responses and clarifications, why, Right Honorable Speaker, and I want to seek your indulgence, are they not treated, for example, under Rule 51? Because this is a ministerial statement. For us to be able to respond to the falsehoods being peddled by those whose duty was to help criminals escape when they were in the past governments.
Honorable members, rules are made to be followed. Rules are made before the game, not during the game, not even after the game. We have rules. The honorable member, from his own wisdom, elected to come under Rule 46. He made the selection deliberately, knowing that it would deliver on his purposes. It has so delivered. And the rules say you ask supplementary question and we close. So are we proceeding properly? Perfectly. We're following the rules. I don't have anything else to follow, unfortunately. Next item.
Item 4.1, response on increasing deaths of domestic livestock occasioned by wild animals in Serre district.
Which one? Okay. Is the minister here? Tourism? Tourism is not here. Water is not here. And the other one, water is next item, please. Let's go to the business.
Item 5, question for oral answer, question 63 stroke 03 stroke 10.
Honorable Minister of Finance, question for oral answer.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Minister, this is question
On Buddha Road. Not
this is item 5. Huh? Huh? Oh, it's Minister of Works. Oh, this is Minister of Works. And the ministers are not here. Can we go to the next item? Works? Is that a statement from Works? Oh, okay, proceed. Sorry. Just in time.
Right Honorable Speaker. I am here to respond to an issue raised by Honorable Kayinza Justin, MP for Bududa District. The question was the work plan for UNRA for financial year 2015-16 included tarmacking of 28 kilometers Buburu-Bududa Circular Road. The same road is reflected on page 251 of the NRM Manifesto of 2016-2021 as one of the roads that were to be worked upon. And the question is to give an update on the plan to have it eventually tarmacked. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, the development of Buburu-Bududa Circular Road to paved bituminous standard is in the National Development Plan too, and in the manifesto, and it is listed among the roads pledged by His Excellency the President for upgrading. Furthermore, His Excellency the President, in his letter dated 28th December 2018, directed me to include the tarmacking of this road in my ministry's plans and budget for the subsequent financial years. In order to inform the planning, budgeting, and implementation, UNRA has procured a consultant to carry out the design of the road, the environmental impact assessment, and a resettlement action plan. This exercise is expected to be substantially completed in December 29. Once the design of the road is completed and studies for environmental impact assessment and resettlement action plan are finalized, the tendering process for construction of the road will commence. Right Honorable Speaker, the road could not be tarmacked during the financial year 15-16 when it was pledged because the sector budget for road development was overcommitted. This had forced UNRA to prioritize the budget on the already made commitments, the ongoing projects or the running contracts, the counterpart funding for externally financed projects, and for land acquisition for projects for which government had secured external financing for their implementation. These undertakings required huge multi-year financial outlay. Even then, the resource available could not adequately cover the existing financial obligations and covenants within the financing agreements with our development partners. The plans and commitments have been bigger than the resources allocated to the sector, which has slowed the implementation of many other projects. With the increase in the Government of Uganda fiscal space by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, the sector will be able to sign more contracts to expedite the implementation of road projects in the midterm, including Buburu-Bududa Circular Road. As of now, we are doing the studies, which will be ready in 2019, and and then works will start on that road. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kayinza. Bududa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I thank the Minister for the statement. As she has stated, okay, she talks of the next financial year, okay, which we await, but currently maybe my appeal is the maintenance. The road is not in good shape right now. So much as we await the other budget, we should have it maintained as per this period.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I have heard that comment, and I promise we shall be having that road maintained because it is already in the plan.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Next item.
Item 6, Bill's second reading, the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2019.
Honorable members, you will recall that we had the report presented, and the committee was asked to go back and give us a proper direction on what we should do with this matter. And the committee, I'm sure now, is ready to guide the House on what we should do, and we'll proceed from there. I'd proposed a question for the debate, and the committee had just reported. So we had not yet debated. So can I have the chair, please? update the House on what you are able to come up with.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Indeed, the House directed the committee to handle the matter. Would like to report the committee sat and even interacted with the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and I lay here a copy of the report and the minutes of the committee meeting.
Did the record capture that?
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, just as the Speaker stated, we therefore sat today and interacted with the Minister, who came to give his explanation to the committee, and in this explanation he apologized for the mistake committed by the ministry by not laying to the House the supplementary appropriations bill according to the Constitution. As such, in admission, the minister confirmed and as such reaffirmed that position, that Article 156(3) and Regulation 18 of the Public Finance Act was violated. The committee further noted in this interaction that way back in 2017, there was again a breach of timelines as per the law in laying the supplementary expenditure schedule number 2 for 2015 and 16. In this, the House asked the minister to apologize, which the minister did. The House went further to ask the permanent secretary to the Treasury, also to come to the bar and provide an apology. However, up to date, bar of the House, up to today, no apology has come from the PSST. The House has therefore noted that this matter, this issue, this error is becoming chronic with the Minister of Finance. And the House therefore recommends that in view of all that, the committee therefore recommends that the Supplementary Appropriations Bill 2019 should not be read the second time because it was introduced in Parliament outside the legal timelines as stipulated in Article 156(3) of the Constitution. I beg to move.
Honorable members, that is the report of the committee. Because we were not very clear on what, yes, Chair?
So, Right Honorable Speaker, I wanted also to state that this is the only report from the committee and there is no minority report.
If it was there, you would have stated it. I can see that there's concurrence on this subject matter. Honorable member, there is nobody on the floor. Honorable members, that is the recommendation from the committee. I had already proposed the question for debate. Let's debate this matter. Because let's debate. Honorable Minister, you want to start the debate? Honorable Minister, why don't you wait and speak after the debate so that...
I thought there is a preliminary...
No.
I have a preliminary guidance I wanted to give.
Microphone.
I have a preliminary guidance I wanted to give this House. Mr. Speaker, sir, mistakes are made, for sure. When I look at Article 156, Appropriation B, Part 5, it reads as follows. Where, in respect of any financial year, the Constitution of Uganda.
No, Article 153, is that the one you're reading?
No.
156.
I'm reading 56, unless my edition is out.
Okay, 156.
3. Can I read? Where, in respect of any financial year, a supplementary estimate or supplementary estimates have been approved by Parliament in accordance with Clause 2 of this article, a supplementary appropriation B shall be introduced into Parliament in the financial year next, and I'm emphasizing that word, next, following the financial year to which the estimates relate. And Mr. Speaker, we submitted to this House, no, to the clerk, on 28th of June. And 2018, 2019. Financial year 18-20 started June 18 and it will end June 2000. Therefore, sorry, it started.
Honorable Minister, please be clear. You submitted the bill on the 20th of June, which year?
20.
You have a copy of the bill,
2019. It was submitted, Mr. Speaker, to the clerk on 28th of June 2018. No, 19, sorry. Which presupposes right at the end of financial year 18-19. Financial year 19-20 started on the 1st of July 2019. So, in view of that, because, Mr. Speaker, when I made the committee this morning, the issue was, Mr. Minister, you came to Parliament too late. But when I went back and scrutinized the wording of this article, I don't seem to be out of time. I beg to move.
Honorable Member, let me understand this. The financial year is 2017-2018, correct? The financial year in question is 2017-2018. Supplementary schedules in the course of that financial year were approved by this House and the expenditures were done. Now, financial year ended 2017-2018, ended 30th of June 2018. Okay? 2018. And the supplementary appropriation bill was submitted to the clerk on the 28th of June 2018. Is that correct? for the financial year, of course, 2017-2018. Yes. Do I have a receipt copy of that you gave? When was it gazetted? 28th June 2018. 20 what? So it was gazetted on the 28th of June this year, not last year. So the procedure should have been, that it should have been submitted at the beginning of the next financial year. In other words, at the closure of 2017-2018, that is the time when that supplementary appropriation bill should have been submitted. Now the question is, because the Constitution only says the financial year next, okay, next. That is what the Constitution says. So the question that we should be asking is what is the next financial year after 2017-2018? So that would be 2018-2019. So when does that financial year end? Okay? So they took the whole of the year and then they submitted the supplementary appropriation bill at the end of the financial year next. Correct? So they still handed it in the next financial year, but after the period was almost expiring. What does the Constitution say? Does the Constitution provide months or periods when this should be submitted? The Constitution only says, a supplementary appropriation bill shall be introduced into Parliament in the financial year next, following the financial year to which the estimate relate. So is 28th of June 2019 in the financial year next to 2017-2018. Is that correct? So the answer is yes. So where is the gap? Yes.
Chair, I fundamentally have utmost respect to the Minister of Finance. But where he changes goalposts, because when we waste a lot of quality time of this Parliament, if we are not honest to goodness. In the meeting we had, we interrogated that question with the Minister in very detail. And the Honorable Minister apologized and withdrew that letter, the one he's referring to. In our understanding, he withdrew that letter formally in a meeting we've had this morning, a few hours ago. After interrogating that question, yes, the heading of the letter of the bill says it was gazetted on 28th June. If you are to take that, it is within the limits of the law. If you are to literally take that. But right, Honorable Speaker, we went ahead with the minister, that's why he's not being honest, and interrogated our rules of procedure. And introduced Rule 127 that calls for the first reading. And the first reading, which we work, because the letter written to a speaker, to a clerk, blah, blah, is not what is envisaged under the law. What is envisaged under our rules of procedure is housed in 127 section of our rules of procedure. Right, Honorable Speaker, and the Constitution clearly has quoted talks about introducing the bill. Introducing the bill. Now, introducing the bill by extension, in our rules of procedure, you can only house it under 127 subsection, which I will read verbatim for members to read. At the time of introducing or presenting bills, the Speaker shall call successively each minister in whose name, each member in whose name a bill stands on the order paper. 2. The member called under sub-rule 1 shall rise and move that the bill be read the first time, and no question shall be put. 3. The clerk shall read aloud the short title of the bill, and the bill shall then be taken as read the first time. Right Honorable Speaker, when you interrogate that rule, and this is the technicality to which this parliament can be taken for a ride. The Honorable Minister gazetted that bill on 28th, and when June, but knowing it was a Friday, and the Parliament does not sit in any way on a Friday. Parliament, and is aware of these technicalities, Parliament will only sit Tuesday the next week. That would have been the 3rd or 4th of July, clearly out of the stipulated Constitution timeline. Right Honorable Speaker, when we interrogated that with the minister in the committee, the honest Catholic Minister of Finance, Honorable Kasaija, a senior, yes, admitted, apologized, and even begged to withdraw that letter he was to refer to that was written to the clerk, and he removed it. He withdrew it, saying it is inconsequential, and he was sorry about it. Now, for him in a few hours to turn around and come to this plenary and change goalposts, and I now want to play on the psychology of this committee. The very debate we've been having. Information.
Thank you, Honorable Chivumbi. Actually, when you read Article 156, it's not 3. You read it, you don't read it, you start from clause 2. You don't read from 3. Because it's itemized. They are saying that in respect of any financial year, if it's found a bill of appropriation is brought in Parliament and we approve, a supplementary comes in when there is a missing gap in that financial year. Why do you bring a supplementary in the next financial year? Right Honorable Speaker, in 2015, it was the same mistake which was committed to take Parliament that we don't read these supplementaries. Finance has a prerogative. If money spent by 3% and small, it can bring a supplementary and we approve them and say spend. But even the supplementary they are brought is more than 3%. That becomes unconstitutional. That becomes unconstitutional that even the supplementary you are bringing, Parliament didn't allow you to spend because it's above 3%, which within the Budget Act, even the Public Finance Management Act. So it's an illegality you want Parliament to pass, which cannot be accepted. Because if it's 3%, you have a way you don't need to bring a supplementary.
Honorable, you know, we have this issue of relevance.
What I'm trying to say...
No, please. We have this issue of relevance. And the matter before the House is very clear. Nobody's talking about 3%. We are talking about a supplementary appropriation bill which should have been submitted in the next financial year. And the presentation from Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi is that even if an attempt was made to gazette it within the financial year next, the Constitution is clear about introducing it to Parliament. That it's not possible that it could have been introduced to Parliament within that financial year. So his argument is that it's only practical that it must have been introduced in the second financial year. And that's where the argument is. So those of 3%, you'll be taking us to roads that we don't need to go to right now. Let's deal with the matter before us.
No, right, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker, exactly, you are spot on. The bone of contention, which the minister must answer to, is in the word introducing. Now, introducing, if you read this, both the Constitution and our rules of procedures, refers to first reading. Now, you did not introduce this appropriation bill within the financial year next. You introduced it in July of 2019. You should have done so before the 30th or 31st of June of that very year. And therefore you are time.
It can only be 30th.
Eh?
There being no 31st of June, it can only
be
30th.
You should have introduced it. You should have introduced it before 30th of that financial year, which he didn't do. Right, Honorable Speaker, why we took exception is that you were in this very chair when you asked the accounting officer of Ministry of Finance to come here and give an apology. He did not. And it is now becoming kind of impunity, underlooking Parliament, thinking that at any day, at any time, you'll come to this Parliament and you get your way. You've just said earlier that rules and laws are made to be followed. Therefore, we are saying, Right Honorable Speaker, that the Minister of Finance must follow the Constitution and our rules of procedure.
Information.
You see, you can't introduce
information.
To this supplementary.
Information.
Submission now that we are here.
Information.
No, let it be a notified, they will answer them.
Honorable members, this is where we are. And let's limit the debate because the issue is very clear. The financial year, Right Honorable Prime Minister, it's Prime Minister's question time, but give me just about 5-10 minutes to settle this matter, then we'll come to that. Yes. The specific supplementary expenditure relates to financial year 2017-2018, which financial year ended on the 30th of June 2018. Okay? And the law requires, or the Constitution requires, that within that the financial year next, the supplementary appropriation bill should be brought to Parliament, introduced to Parliament. Because in the course of the financial year 2017-2018, the schedules would have already been approved by Parliament, correct? So now the bill combining all the schedules for the final appropriation by Parliament of money is already spent would now be introduced in the next financial year, 2018-2019. Now that financial year ends or ended on the 30th of June 2019. Okay? Now the question is, this bill was gazetted on the 28th of June. 2 days to the end of the financial year next. Okay? And I have not been able to confirm whether it was a Friday or not. But can we have somebody confirm to me, clerk, can you confirm to me whether it was a Friday as stated by the Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi? Okay? If it's a Friday, is it possible, if it is a Friday actually, is it possible that it could have been possible for the for the Minister of Finance to introduce that bill to Parliament before the 30th of June? That is, if that is, what day of the week was it? Okay, it's been confirmed that it was a Friday. So it's not possible, okay? It's not possible for the Minister of Finance to have introduced that bill to Parliament before the 30th, because the 30th was on a Sunday. Yes, the 30th was on a Sunday, and Monday was the 1st of July, which is now another financial year. So that's where the thing is. So there's a clear, it's been established beyond doubt in my mind that that provision of the Constitution has not been complied with. Okay. Now, in situations where constitutional provision or any legal provision are not been complied with, what does the law say would be the avenue to deal with it? Does it say don't do anything, or does the law propose a way forward? The law proposes a way forward in Section 78 of the Public Finance Management Act. That where such breaches, the minister should be called upon to explain. And that explanation should be to the satisfaction of Parliament. But if Parliament is not satisfied with the explanation, then Parliament will do as it pleases. But bearing in mind that that money is spent already 2 financial years ago. Secondly, the books for that financial year have to be closed, and you can only close it by doing the final appropriation of the supplementary expenditures of that financial year. So those are the situations we find ourselves in. Do we take the avenue of Section 78, or do we take what the committee has recommended? Let's have a debate. Yes, Aru.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is clear, it's a given, if Honorable Adolf would listen to me, it's a given that the Constitution has been violated. I don't think it is in debate. It is not in debate. Mr. Speaker, the law is not created. The law is not interpreted to create an absurdity. Because the fact remains that the supplementary schedule is incurably defective, if I may use that word.
The bill itself.
The bill. And the money has been spent. I was seated near Honorable Alum. I was seeing the areas where they spent the money, missions abroad, blah, blah. The list is very long. Now, the question we should ask ourselves is that what remedies do we have? In law school, no matter how long the problem question is, the last question any advocate should ask, General Moses Ali knows, who are together at law school. This is my hobby. What, as a learned colleague, what remedies do we have in the circumstance? I think we seem to have only one remedy, because the money has been spent. You cannot reverse that process. It has been spent. in activities that we as Parliament also have powers to look into those activities through other committees, whether Park, whether COSASA. The money has been spent, and yet the Constitution is clear on how it should have been spent, but it has already been spent. So it looks like we are flogging a dead horse. We will talk until the hand comes back home. And this is not the first time money has been spent without the approval of Parliament. I don't want to give other examples. So in the circumstance, Mr. Speaker, I would propose, in line with what Honorable Mwanga Kibumbi said, as per Section 78 of the Act, that the minister comes here and puts on the same robe he puts before the committee. Because this is a national parliament. The same tone you went with before the committee. Because as this parliament, we should make it a risky business in future for anyone to spend money and walk away. So the minister should bring that same humility he took before the committee here and explain the circumstances. In any case, the money was spent for a just cause. He explains the circumstances in line with what the Speaker guided, and we proceed. Because if we insist and harden, then the doctrine of separation of power will be invoked. Because it is not a coincidence that all these big shots are here today. Every day they are not there. So we don't want to get into a situation as if Parliament is interfering with the work of the executive, but I think we can get a win-win. The minister should swallow the bitter pill. The promise, it is on the record, on the Hansard, for our children in future, that these things will not happen again, and then we see how to proceed. It may be illegal. I was boxed in this house. It is illegal, but the fact remains I was boxed. So illegality is not everything. We need to proceed as a country. Thank you so much.
Honorable Sabunya.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I would like to thank Honorable Dongto for his words of wisdom he has sent to the minister. I think we don't have to labor in vain, given the fact that a breach was committed, it is known, and the minister cannot again insist that he has constitutional powers to still go ahead and convince Parliament, because the facts are already known. So I would pray that laws are made to be implemented. You did not implement as the law said, and this is the August House that shall make the final decision on what happens. So if you apologize again, just as you did in the committee, and I hope that accepted your apology, do it here and we conclude. I understand Honorable Minister Ndugu wants to answer questions, so in the 10 minutes the Speaker asks, would be appropriate for you to make the apology needed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Procedure.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I need your guidance according to our rules of procedure, Rule 8, 7 and 8. Whether a mere apology from the minister will cure what he has committed against the law. I am asking myself, doesn't he have a better way how he can go back, prepare himself, then present it, other than merely a house that makes laws, telling a person just apologize and do away with the law that we made? You do away, you breach the law we have made, and you come to us and say, I am sorry, and we say, okay, carry on, it is okay. I need some guidance, Right Honorable Speaker.
Well, the law does not talk about an apology. The law talks about an explanation. And there is no definition of an explanation. An explanation could have an apology at the end. So there is no contradiction. It's up to the House to evaluate, and if it is satisfied, yes.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Information, but
Mr. Speaker.
procedure.
Right Honorable Speaker, as you've stated, once you breach the financial laws, this Parliament has procedures how audit queries after it has been found. What you've stated, it stands as an audit query. Even if you apologize today, the Auditor General will go on the Minister of Finance. And if it stands as an audit query, Parliament cannot pronounce itself and say somebody has apologized. It must go to the Auditor General and brings it, and then Parliament pronounces itself. Because now...
But you see, Honorable, how does it go to the Auditor General when the financial year is not closed?
No, Right Honorable...
No, how does it go to him before we have closed the financial year? How
It does go there because where government, the Audit Act says, where the Auditor General thinks that there is a controlling amount of money, the Auditor General gets interested and investigates that matter.
Well, that is not the kind of audit we anticipate in the Constitution. The issue is for the Auditor General to start auditing the financial year. The financial year books must be closed by this Parliament through what it has allowed to be spent. How is he going to audit, and then there are parts that were not yet appropriated but spent? How will he audit those? So please.
Right Honorable Speaker, the appropriation, the supplementary appropriation comes because there are some estimates which are found. And if these people in finance did balance their books, they couldn't come.
Are you by any chance suggesting that supplementary expenditures should not be audited?
No, what I'm trying to say, that even if a minister, this is a breach of the law. And once it's a breach of the law...
Now you have come back to where we were.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that even if the minister comes to apologize, it stands an audit query.
Procedure.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, procedurally, I did not expect the minister to hold on to the letter addressed to the clerk on the 28th of June, because that particular letter is in itself defective. And he is aware that even the section, even the Constitution quoted there is not quoted as Article 156, but is quoted as section. So we advise that to guide Parliament and to guide the meeting, he should never, ever quote that letter. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of Article 178, which we are quoting from, of the Public Finance and Management Act, we cannot move there on account of Article 2 of the Constitution, which talks of the supremacy of the Constitution. And I thank God the Attorney General is here, and I don't know how we can overstep the supremacy of the Constitution in order to allow Article 78 of the Public Finance and Accountability Act. Thirdly, Right Honorable Speaker, on the 1st of June, on the 1st of June, I'm talking of section, on the 1st of June 2017, you guided the House on the same kind of discussion. And Right Honorable Speaker, your guidance was very clear. The minister was requested to apologize, and we felt, the House felt at that time, that the apology of the minister was not adequate. And we move further to say even the technical officer, the Secretary of Treasury, should apologize publicly and to Parliament. This was the decision of Parliament, which was resolved on the 1st of June 2017. So on account of those three, Right Honorable Speaker, are we proceeding properly? Because the minister has not withdrawn that letter which he claimed he wrote to the clerk. 2, we have not considered, or the Attorney General ought to have guided us on the supremacy of the Constitution. And 3, the decision that Parliament has already taken on a similar breach, exactly the same breach.
Further procedure?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that the Constitution has been breached, and we are laboring to find a remedy. But I would like to invite the House to look at the remedies that are proposed under Section 78(2) of the Public Finance Management Act, and I want to read it. It says that where it is established that the institution or department did not meet the requirements of this Act or contravene the Act due to negligence or misconduct of a public officer of the institution or department, the public officer shall be held personally liable in accordance with Section 79 or 80 of the Act. Under Section 79, there are a list of offenses, and at the end, these offenses, they're up to Q. But it says a person who commits an offense under this section shall on conviction be liable to a fine not exceeding 500 currency point or 4 years. So the issue here is whether the Minister of Finance or the Secretary, the Permanent Secretary to the Treasury, which under Section 11 gives him the duties to advise the Minister on economic, budgetary, and financial matters, is personally liable. And whether this House would take a decision and say that money has been spent and it has been spent illegally, we cannot recover, and recommend to the executive government to go back and take action either on the officers that are in the ministry, or if it finds it fit that the Minister of Finance at Honorable Matia Kasaija stands personally liable and is prosecuted, because that's what the law says here. And then the House can go on and pronounce itself that money was spent illegally, and the officers that are responsible for this delay are held personally liable under Section 78 and 79 of this Act, and then would be able to move.
Honorable members, let me do this. There is no money that has been spent illegally. That is one, because the money that was spent within the provision of the law, and the schedules to that supplementary appropriation was brought to this Parliament and approved in time. So there was no money that was illegally spent. Now, the procedural hitch that now has come up is a constitutional requirement that the final appropriation, because you cannot appropriate by approving a schedule, you appropriate by an act of Parliament, which comes through either the appropriation bill itself or the supplementary appropriation bill, like in this case. That is the only way now Parliament would have given its final sanction to those expenditures. That's the breach that has taken place. That the particular law or proposal for legislation was not brought within the time the Constitution provides it should be brought. That is the breach. That's the breach. So issues of illegal expenditure does not arise, and we go. So, honorable members, we need to go to Prime Minister's question time, but let's do this. We have established where we are on this matter. That is true. Article 1563 has not been complied with. The Honorable Adolf had requested for the floor. I don't know whether you still want to speak, or I finalize this matter and we move. I can conclude. So that bridge is there, okay? Now, the issue of the Law Public Finance Management Act overstepping the Constitution did not arise because the similar provision is also found in the Public Finance Management Act, which is in the Constitution. So it's both breach of the Constitution and also the Public Finance Management Act. So there's no inconsistency in the way we are handling this thing. The issue is, what remedy, like Honorable Dongato put it, what remedy do we have in the circumstances? We have to close the financial year. If there is breach, how do we handle the breach? If there are people responsible for the breach, what sanctions are available within the law to deal with them? It's as simple as that. So what do we do? Because you see, the concern, Honorable Minister, the concern is the Honorable Minister of Finance. Is the concern is that you have given so many apologies, and it looks like it's becoming your trend. That you come up, like now you have come after a few weeks of absence to apologize. So now it's beginning to look like you only do apologies and nothing comes of your apologies. So that's the fear that members now have. No, he's done it before, he's going to do it again. Next year he will come and apologize again and business goes on. So what guarantees do you have that this year things are going to be different?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the colleagues. It's a pity on my side that this slippage has happened once again, for which I'm extremely sorry. No, resigning won't be the answer. The answer is next time around, I want to promise this house where I don't know whether I will be here or not be here. No, no, there could be a chance that I could die tomorrow. Yes, there is always that possibility, Mr. Speaker. Me, I always keep that. Yes, yes. I want to promise this House that this should never happen again. So therefore, I pray that at least as the Speaker said, you did approve the money. You approved the money. And therefore, the law was broken, but at least as far as the money is concerned, you gave the approval. And there's no money that has been misappropriated, there's no money that has been stolen, unless the Auditor General tells us so. So I suggest, and I humbly pray that we proceed and get this matter out of our way so that we can go to other important issues this parent is for to hand.
Are we now going to debate by procedure? I thought the procedural issues are clear. No, the procedural issues are clear, honorable members. If you have a supplementary point that you need to make, just make that point. But the procedural issues are very clear. We a supplementary point, please, in 1 minute. No, it's not a debate now, honorable members. Please. That applies to Kumi, Bukoto, Ajuri, all of you, please resume your seats.
Mr. Speaker, you had guided that one way of dealing with this matter is by the Minister offering an explanation as to why they slept on the job. Woke up a few hours to the end of financial year, to the end of the deadline, and then started fidgeting by writing letters that is now withdrawing. I'd actually thought the Minister Kasaija will come here and explain that maybe they didn't read the law, they discovered later. Because it appears, since the new Public Finance Management Act was enacted by this Parliament and set various deadlines, that they are almost not meeting any of those deadlines. I remember one time we were summoned from recess to come and receive accompanying documents when they read the budget framework paper and they didn't bring them. Then we were brought here quickly, we received them, and then we went back.
Actually, that sitting lasted 3 minutes.
It appears, Mr. Speaker, and with due respect, either the standards that are set by the law cannot be met by this particular minister or a set of ministers in that ministry, and therefore the one who appointed them will need to find a new set of human resource, or the ministers are too casual, they don't respect Parliament. And sometimes you can read it from the face of the Honorable Kasaija. He thinks these things you can casually come here and say, I am sorry, and then you go to another year. So the supplementary point I wanted to make, Mr. Speaker, we need the Prime Minister to tell this Parliament whether the supervisor, the immediate one, is satisfied with what is taking place in the Ministry of Finance. That they can't meet deadlines one after another. MPs have to be summoned from the recess. When they submitted policy statements, they has had problems, the one of Finance. And you remember what we went through. The policy statement of Minister of Finance had problems. Yet you are the one who is supposed to guide the others. So can the Prime Minister reassure this Parliament that he is satisfied with the performance? Because all that has come out loudly from that ministry is quarreling. The junior minister, there is a group of mafia that want to finish her, and and Kasaija, the usual Kasaija Honorable, him is quiet, as if things are okay. So I'll be glad to take the route as you guided the Right Honorable Speaker and take the apology, provided the Honorable Right Prime Minister tells Parliament that he is satisfied. Because you see, it appears the standards you've set for yourselves are too low. The country can't move. We were just discussing Ugandans being beaten in South Africa. For me, I hold a different view, sentimental as the matter might be. Until we've fixed our own economy and stop Ugandans lining up at embassies looking for visas to run away as economic refugees. And I have the slightest belief that with the way the Honorable Matia Kasaija is running that ministry, that we can stop Ugandans going away and they are being beaten wherever they are going, being raped in Oman, another minister is running there. So can the Prime Minister assure us either if these are the standards, then we will know that this government of Hakuna Muchezo, these are the standards you set for yourselves. That it's Rio Muchezo, as one MP saying. Or that elsewhere things are okay. It is only the good Honorable Matia Kasaija of Finance and a set of many other ministers, I think there are about 5 under you, that are sleeping on the job, and something is being done. But otherwise, to receive the same apology, we are summoned from recess to come here and receive accompanying documents. As we are about to receive them, you bring a faulty policy statement. As we are dealing with that, you bring a schedule and a bill way away from the deadline. So can the Prime Minister assure us he's satisfied or something is being done in that ministry?
I think it's a fair request, Right Honourable, please.
Right Honourable Speaker, my good friend Semuju will
Honorable.
Bring Ndugu Semuju, Honorable, will endeavor to bring in various issues to throw some mud at my distinguished colleagues. But let me say that as Prime Minister and Supervisor, government is doing everything possible to manage and implement this new finance law. So far, there have been some gaps, and these gaps are being dealt with. And in my view, the Minister of Finance is doing his best in the circumstances. And for that matter, as supervisor, I am satisfied with the work that the Minister of Finance is doing.
Procedure.
Mr. Speaker, I don't want to interfere with the work of Parliament, but I have a very important point that I need to raise. That the provision of the Constitution has been breached. That is very clear. Mere apology cannot kill clear. And the provision of the Constitution is clear on retrospective application. Will the apology retrospectively cure the glitch in the Constitution? Will it? Because the law is very clear on retrospective application of the law. And we are saying here that within that financial year, that a report has not been made. Therefore, there should be a better procedure of handling this process. Because, Mr. Speaker, if we just rely on mere apology, and a member of this country goes to court, an apology will not cure. So we need to have a cure within the law. Within the law. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal that, you know, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Any law or act of the country cannot supersede the Constitution. And any law that is inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution is null and void. If the Public Finance Management Act, provision 179, is inconsistent with the spirit of Article 156 of the Constitution, then that provision that we passed in this Parliament, it is null and void to the extent that is ultra-various to the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Mr. Speaker, I do submit.
One, there is no inconsistency. No provision of the Public Finance Act is inconsistent with any provision of the Constitution. That is number one. Number two, you raise the issue of retrospectivity. Retrospectivity, I understand them under Article 92 of the Constitution, and also understand then the restrictions imposed in criminal matters, where you want to charge somebody with an offense, which was not an offense at the time it was committed. That is prohibited by the Constitution. Now, if you are referring to retrospectivity under Article 92, this is what it says. Parliament shall not pass any law to alter the decision or judgment of any court as between the parties to the decision or judgment. That is the extent to which that provision ends. So to import other things and assign them to the Constitution without an actual provision of the Constitution would be unconstitutional in itself. Can we move? The law does not talk about an apology. The law wants to understand what is your explanation to this problem that has happened. Not an apology. Then apology can be the concluding remarks. But what happened?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. what happened, there were a number of demands which were very crucial.
No, Honorable Minister, what happened to cause this delay in bringing the bill?
That's what
not the supplementary. We're talking about from the 1st of July 2018. Please, we need to guide him, please. From the 1st of July 2018 to the end of that to the end of financial year, which ended in 2019. What happened in 365 days that you could not bring that bill here? That is the issue.
Mr. Speaker, I want to refer to the resolution that gave the ministry power to bring the bill. And this resolution was passed on the 19th day of June 2018. You can see we even came for this rather late. The reason why we came even there late, they were very urgent and important needs to be included in the supplementary. And in order to do this, we had to make wide consultations. That's the explanation why we, first of all, we came to Parliament to seek our power to produce this bill, and then go back to go and bring the bill. It is simply because there were certain expenses that we had not taken care of, and we could only take care of them having consulted A, Bank of Uganda, B, the cabinet, C, even with the sectors. No, not Parliament. Parliament, I come here to seek final authority. You give the final authority. So that's what, Mr. Speaker, delayed the process. But I must also add, pressure of work. It may not be a very laudable excuse or reason, but the biggest problem is these consultations in the various. So that's what I can say, Mr. Speaker and colleagues.
And then you stand by your apology.
So, for this slippage and for accepting and not calculated that I don't tell a lie, that one I know very well. I will never tell a lie in my life.
Honorable Minister, you are the one on record, so proceed with you.
For this slippage, colleagues, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the colleagues, I repeat what I've said before. It should never have happened, and it will not happen again. And my apologies, please.
Honorable members, the Honorable Matia Kasaija is only human, and the ministries don't function on the basis of one person. And you'll also recall that around that time, Akel, the Honorable Minister, was unwell for a while, as I recall, because when we were fighting with some of these things, we had received notification of his state of being unwell. He has spoken about what happened, and you have heard. He has given an apology, and you have heard. The financial year closed long time ago. We need to close the books
that the Auditor General can audit how that money was spent, and then we move forward with these matters. Can we go to a stage where we can take the decision, final decision on these matters, given what we have gone through now? Is that okay? Can I put the question to go to Committee of Supply? Yes. Yes.
Chair, procedure. I think, Chair, the spirit of Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, the spirit of this statement from the Budget Committee was, lawyer call it preliminary objection. The committee has not yet considered that whole supplementary because there was a legal problem. They couldn't continue with the legality. Now, the only recommendation that can come from this parliament, if you put a question, is to the effect that the bill will be read for the second time. Then yes, the effect, when you look at the resolution, we are saying the bill should not be read for the second time. Now, if Parliament feels the bill should be read for the second time, then the committee will go ahead to process the report so that the bill can be read for the second time.
Honourable members, the little procedure I know is that we have been discussing the principles of this matter, because the motion was moved, and that's what we have been discussing. So if I put the question for the bill to be read the second time and it's approved, the next stage is not committee. It would not be the committee of budget. It would be committee of the whole house. That would be the next stage. So that's why I'm saying, can I now put the question? Procedure.
Right Honorable Speaker, it is at that point that I'm requesting that we are requesting that procedurally, before the committee of the whole house looks at the bill, the committee should be given even a day or two to scrutinize the bill. It will not take time, Right Honorable Speaker, because there could be some issues there that Parliament need to understand. The committee stumbled over the constitutional problems and did not scrutinize the bill. So it is in our interest to know whether the bill was presented in compliance with our requirements or not. So, Right Honorable Speaker, procedurally, I would want to request that the committee be given time to scrutinize, look at it. It may take just a few hours, but I would request for a day. If you want us to come back on Tuesday, possibly that can be done. At least we would have had time to scrutinize on behalf of Parliament and make it easy for us to process the bill, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, can I put the question to motion for second reading of this bill? Can I put the question to motion? And then we see how to proceed with the rest of it. Is that okay? Then we to accommodate, because we don't want, then we refer this particular issue to the committee, then the committee comes back next week, and then you see, we're not doing ambushes here. We want a procedure that is accepted by all the members, that gives it its legitimacy. So let's accommodate all the interests and see. But usually and technically, by the time, it's different from when you're dealing with an appropriation bill. Because an appropriation bill has no figure approved. But a supplementary appropriation bill, all the figures have been approved by Parliament. You see? Through the schedules. Yes, yes, yes. All the expenditures have already been approved by Parliament through the schedules. Those schedules are brought to Parliament and we discuss them and we approve them. That, okay, this is approved, and there are conditional timelines on how to deal with that as well. So, now when the supplementary appropriation bill comes, it has those schedules which we have approved ordinarily. Unless, of course, somebody tried to play some funny things to try and put things that were not there. And because of those possibilities, that's why I'm saying we approve the motion for second reading, but allow the committee to confirm that what we approved in the schedules is what is contained in the supplementary appropriation bill. That is why I am going to allow this time. So can I put the question? I'll now put the question that the bill entitled Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2019 be read for the second time. Will those in favor say aye? To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. How, honorable members?
The Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2019.
Thank you. As I said earlier, we will pause this here. We will not go to Committee of Supply, but we'll pause this here, refer this matter to harmonize the figures and other things, and have that the committee report in the course of next week. When would you be ready? Tuesday? 2 weeks? No, Chair. How much time would you need to look at the figures? I'm sure you have scanned through them.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. We can submit on Wednesday.
Wednesday next week.
Because we only have to reconcile. We only have to reconcile the figures which were approved and the bill.
Thank you.
So it can take us one meeting and we are done.
Okay.
So by Wednesday we are ready.
This matter is deferred to Wednesday next week. It's so decided. Thank you very much, Chair. We wait for this matter coming back, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for surviving again. But you must be like a cat with many lives. But please, let's try and play by the rules so that we save this time. Because the time we have spent here, we should not have spent it this way. We should have been doing some other thing. Can we do Prime Minister's question time, even if the time has passed?
Item 7, Prime Minister's time.
No, but we extended it ourselves. No. I requested the Prime Minister that we extend the time so that we can finish with this business. So it's the Prime Minister to raise the objection. That no, the time has passed, so I am not ready. But for you, if members don't have questions to ask the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, earlier I requested that we debate a statement and you rightly guided that rules are supposed to be followed the way they are. The Prime Minister's time ended 10 minutes ago. Until someone has moved that this rule is suspended, it is here with us. Of course, maybe nobody will ask Parliament to apologize like the Honorable Matia Kasaija has been asked. But for me, I am uncomfortable that rules must be breached. But if Parliament decides so, we can breach our rules, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, it's not a breach of the rules. What we said is, there's this matter that we needed to conclude. I announced, I said Prime Minister's question time is supposed to start now. But we have this matter to conclude. Right, Honorable, do you agree for us to extend time and then you deal with it? But because that discussion took place and the records are clear on this. So we all know what happened. But if the Honorable Member for Chira Municipality does not have a question to ask the Prime Minister, he could just listen to the other question. I think let's engage with the Prime Minister for a short time. There could be burning issues that members have. Let's do that for a short time, and then we see. Thank you. And I'll start from Luero. Honorable members, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have people and staff of Starlight Primary School from Lira District. They're represented the Honorable Akena James and Honorable Atim Joy Ongom. They're here to observe the proceedings. Please join me in welcoming them. You're very welcome. Yes, Luero.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, you are keenly aware about the fraud in the banking institution in the country. Many Ugandans are being cheated. I know of several cases. One person called Sitakange James was cheated by money being deducted. Money is being deducted off the accounts by several banks. And when you raise complaints, the money is refunded. But many Ugandans are not raising complaints. Mr. Prime Minister, Ugandans are losing confidence in the banking institutions, and this points to the regulations on the banking sector. Mr. Prime Minister, I must say this with dismay, that on the 21st, 4 transactions were made on my account, my salary account, and my salary was deducted. On the 22nd...
Question.
Yes, I'm sorry, right Honorable Speaker, I was just giving a preamble that my money has been deducted. When I contacted the banking institution, when I went to DFCU Bank, they told me it is going to take me another 45 days for them to prove that it is not Nakate who actually made the transaction. And then after, they will also go into some other investigations. The question I have, Right Honorable Prime Minister, when are you going to come up with clear banking regulations so that Ugandans can have confidence in the banking sector? Thank you.
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, the question raised by the Honorable Member is obviously a serious matter. And my view is that 2 institutions or ministries are handling this. One, this is a criminal matter, therefore, Minister of Internal Affairs should already be pursuing the culprits. Number two, the Minister of Finance should also be already handling the matter, because this brings lack of confidence in our banking institutions, as the Honorable Member has said. So my position, therefore, is that working with the 2 ministries and other agencies concerned, we are going to ensure that these criminals are brought to book, and we ensure that restoration of full confidence in our banking institutions is also worked on. And number 3, that government will come with a clear position on how this problem is being handled by government.
Shema, District.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, more than a year ago, this House passed a loan for bridging the gap in electricity distribution. The loan, which actually amounted to US dollars 212 million from Exim Bank of China. Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Prime Minister, an advance to this loan has already been disbursed, but our local contractors that were supposed to benefit from the local content component are not seeing any works being extended to them. On top of that, Right Honorable Prime Minister, the people we represent are also not seeing any kind of activity to indicate that work is progressing. I would like to request for a detailed update for the House on the status of the contract by the Chinese company Tibea, because this time period and the items agreed by this House to pass this loan are not being honored, and the government is about to start paying money for no work done. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, it's true government got money, borrowed money from our Chinese friends to ensure that more Ugandans get access to power. It's true the project is being implemented. If it has not visibly appeared in Bushenya and a number of other areas, I think it's just a question of time. But this is an important project that is going to increase the number of people and the number of industries and businesses connected to power. And if there is any delay in implementation, I would appreciate information, and we deal with it so that the project can be expedited, because Ugandans need it implemented as quickly as possible.
Boroto, District.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Prime Minister, last year my car got involved into an accident and I was asked to pay for inspection fee, which I did through URA, an authority that I know is responsible for collecting government revenue. But surprisingly, when I presented the payment slip to the police, they actually rejected it, informing me that that was not the authority that we were supposed to pay that fee. They actually got for me a payment slip, which designed by them, and indicating an account owned by them. And URA, they alleged to be a wrong receiver, has refused to refund me back what is said to have been misdirected to its account. And I also found that there are many Ugandans who have suffered the same. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I wonder why there are two authorities collecting government revenue in this country, charging the same amount for the same purpose. And I want to know which one is the right authority that is supposed to collect government revenue. And how can Ugandans who double paid due to this confusion get a refund of the monies that they double paid? Thank you.
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, fortunately the Honorable Minister of Finance and Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs are seated here next to each other. So with the permission, because this is a very important point that has been raised, with the permission of the Right Honorable Speaker, I would request the Honorable Minister of Finance to give clear guidance to the people of Uganda as to where they should pay. And fortunately, Ndugumatia, and definitely the question of paying twice does not arise. The refund must be done. Ndugumatia, the floor is yours.
Yes, very humble. That's how I was brought up, and that's how I have survived. Mr. Speaker, sir, and the colleagues, there are about 2-3 agents that would collect revenue. One is Uganda Revenue Authority, which collects taxes and other fees which we have agreed they collect. The agencies are like, say, Uganda Land Board. Because of the complexity of that one, we said, let them collect and eventually remit the consolidated fund. For penalties, like if you make a wrong turn on the road and the police catch you, they will give you a ticket and use that ticket to pay directly in the bank. They are not allowed to collect money because they have no way they can safely keep that money. So that one you pay straight in the bank on the account of Uganda Revenue Authority, and Uganda Revenue Authority will transfer the money to the consolidated fund.
where you have paid money twice. Why should you not be refunded the money from one of them?
Somebody paying twice?
Yeah, that's what the
if you
member
pay
said.
twice, pay twice, you put in a claim. If you have paid twice, please put in a claim and bring all evidence, and you will be refunded immediately.
Information. Honorable Minister, I actually did a claim, and URA told me they cannot refund me the money. And the other Ugandans also who have suffered the same. The reason as why is URA says police does not have the authority to collect the money. If they have to refund, police has to pay them back that money in order for them to effect the refund. So Ugandans are losing money in that way. And we want our money back.
Now, if URA have said they cannot refund because money was collected by police, then they are failing in their duty, Mr. Speaker. They are failing in their duty. If you have a claim against, please put it right to me, and I will ensure that you give me all the evidence. I will ensure that you get back your money. Well, those Ugandans, no, first of all, because I want to first of all to answer her question, but now talking about the general principle. The general principle, I'm going to handle this one with the Uganda Revenue Authority. Yes, they will get a directive asking them that if someone has paid twice for the same duty, for the same fee, he or she must be refunded. And it is within the law.
Mugangaizi East.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, sir, oil companies have been demanding for the tarmacking of the Masode Nkoko Kakumiro Nkoko Narrow Road. And UNRA carried out systematic designs and feasibility studies some time back. And Right Honorable Prime Minister, this road is very vital in the transportation of the equipment of the oil pipeline construction. UNRA demanded
the question now,
that you amend the cabinet memo to include this road among the oil roads. So how far have you gone in the amendment of the cabinet memo to accommodate this road as an oil road, since it is being demanded by oil companies? Thank you very much.
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, cabinet memos are not amended the way Honorable Onesimus has suggested. What happens is that if cabinet has taken a position, if there is need to revisit that subject matter, the minister responsible brings it back. So this is a matter where the Ministry of Works, working closely with the Ministry of Finance, should harmonize their respect on the oil roads. If there is a gap that has been left out, that gap will be closed. But the two ministries will have to harmonize this. And since you have raised this matter, I'll formally bring it to the attention of the Honorable Minister of Works, as well as the Honorable Minister of Finance, to address the matter.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, on 23rd of March this year, there was a hailstorm in Uyende, in which 15 people died and 620 homesteads were affected. On 23rd March, Honorable Minister Musa Echeru came and he offered 500,000 shillings as condolences to each affected family. He promised relief in terms of iron sheets and cement to each affected homestead. Last month, a contingent of relief came with specific directives that those iron sheets should serve only 50 affected homesteads. My question, when are the people of Buyende, specifically the victims, receiving, those ones who are left out, receiving the relief? 2, which formula should be used to give out the homesteads rather to get the 50 homesteads that were affected as directed? Thank you.
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Musa Cheru meant business when he went to the affected people and pledged support for the people. What has been provided, I believe, is what resources are available, but that does not mean the end of the matter. This matter will be further discussed with Ndugumuse Cheru and his team to see what concrete plans they have to ensure that the people in the affected areas are indeed properly supported and settled.
Kumi Municipality, Bunya, is that Bunya? Yes, Bunya South.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I'm in possession of a copy of a letter authored from your office. And it is written on 9th August 2019. And another one written on the 19th August 2019. And it is entitled East African Civil Aviation Academy, Soroti, Houses and Land for Sale. As people of Western Uganda, we've been agitating for a city status for Soroti. And the flying school is a place where we have been thinking of improving to have an international airport. And now I have a copy here, which is indicating like the houses and the land are up for sale. One, Right Honorable Prime Minister, you are aware about this. Then 2, is it a new policy that we are developing as a country to sell away these properties? And 3, where is the direction taking us? Where are we going as a country if we are going to sell this?
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable is right that there has been discussion about the problems concerning Soroti Flying School, and the main reason is that institutional houses and the place where the airport is supposed to expand has been grabbed and houses are coming up. And we have decided to suspend all those activities, address the matter, and it is only after addressing this matter that a meaningful report will be given. So it's a serious matter, and indeed that's why the Prime Minister convened that meeting. And we expect that this matter will be concluded within about a month.
Thank you. Bunya.
Thank you so much.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the question of sale, if I may, sales have been suspended. The matter is going to be sorted out first, and then it is after about a month, when the matter has been resolved, that the final position will be communicated. I will be interested to look at the copies of that communication.
Budadiri East, Isinjuro, Kumi.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Oh.
You had given me an opportunity.
I don't really picked you, yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Right Honorable, we have
a very serious matter. I represent a constituency that is actually part of it is water, and as a constituency and as a country, you note very seriously that last year when we lost our dear ones who were actually sailing on this water, the water bodies have a serious challenge. During dredging, you hardly fail to rescue these people. As a government, if you search around in government, which you had, you hardly see a policy that will guide on the search and rescue of these people when they are using the water bodies. When is the government coming up with a search policy and rescue for people who are actually getting problems on the water bodies in this country? I thank you.
Right, Honorable.
Honorable Speaker, this matter has been discussed before by this August House. Security, rescue on our water bodies, and this became even more so when we had a problem on Lake Victoria. The ministry responsible for works is working on this. I do expect that their work should be brought to this August House soon.
I'd already picked Budadiri East, Isinjiro.
Thank you.
And Kumi. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, there is no doubt you are aware that there is an outbreak of foot and mouth disease in Sironko and other parts of Bugisu sub-region, which is actually threatening to wipe out the entire herd in Bugisu sub-region. What measures is government doing to stop the spread of this scourge?
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, again, colleagues may be aware that foot and mouth disease is quite a problem, not only in the Sironko area, but even in western Uganda. Vaccines were imported by government. They were found out to be not vaccines. Other measures are being taken to ensure that vaccines are made available. This time, genuine vaccines.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, as you may recall, in this financial year, we allocated money for older persons under the program of SAGE. We went ahead to adjust the age bracket from 65 to 80 years for these beneficiaries. But today, we are in the 3rd month into the financial year. We have not seen anything, not even a sign of this money in our districts. So, I would like you to inform this House when we should expect this money in our district. Thank you so much.
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, since the decision was taken by this August House and the money is in the budget, it's a question of delays, but the Minister of Finance is going to whip up all those concerned to make sure that those who qualify for the money actually get the money.
Thank you very much. Rukunjiri Municipality. Oh, no, Kumi. I already picked Kumi, sorry.
Yeah.
Kumi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, at the end of 2017, the road from Palisa to Kumi, the work started, and they're almost at its conclusion. 582 households were assessed due for compensation, but about 120 have not yet received any compensation as we talk. Secondly, we wrote as members of parliament that the road be extended to the ferry, from Kumi town to the ferry, about 16 kilometers from the town. However, Right Honorable Prime Minister, as we talk now, there is work going on. And I know that the Prime Minister, you are aware that Article 26 of our Constitution restricts your works before you compensate the affected households. So, Right Honorable Prime Minister, are you aware of those works, and what plans do you have in terms of compensating the households which are affected before you embark on your good public interest works of constructing the roads and also compensating these 120 persons?
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm very happy about the progress that is going on the road, fulfilling the pledges and the manifesto. That's very good. Number two, it is only logical that if a road is being constructed, as much as possible, it should reach where the ferry is, because ferry is part of the road network in a way. Thirdly, if there is any delay in compensation of the wananchi, it should be expedited. It is true that sometimes there have been issues of compensation, sometimes for not agreeing to the amounts, sometimes delays in funding, but government is going to push this so that the wananchi are not inconvenienced.
Thank you. Olav Rukunjiri, Busia District, and Bunya East.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, all known politicians and political activists opposed to current regime who appear as sureties in the courts of law are conditioned to deposit their national identity cards. I'm actually a victim in court until the case is finalized. This requirement is frustrating the citizens and they cannot access services like banks. My question to you, why is the government abusing the system of national identity cards as we approach 2021 general elections?
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, I would not make a judgment the way my dear brother is judging government. I think this is a matter for judiciary to explain, and we should let the judiciary deal with this matter.
Thank you. Busia District.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Ndugu Prime Minister, agricultural financing is one of the ways to promote and ensure sustainable agricultural productivity. One, what measures and support system has government put in place to ensure farmers access affordable credit facilities to boost their agricultural potentials? Two, is there plans by government to revive the cooperative bank?
Thank you. Very good question.
Right Honorable Speaker, with regard to the cooperative bank, this is really a property of the cooperators, and to me the cooperators of Uganda can revive, can build a cooperative bank or any other form of bank, because it is some private entity, and the government would support efforts of the people of Uganda to build financial institutions. With regard to agriculture, as you know, government fully supports agriculture and has been giving even planting materials and other agricultural support facilities. So government supports the wananchi, the farmers, and with credit, money is actually available under agricultural and other schemes. It is true, I've heard of complaints of accessing this money, because I think this money is acquired through traditional banking systems, and sometimes the interest rates are unmanageable. But I know that government has considered this matter and has even limited interest rates in certain sectors, especially agriculture. But the responsible ministers could come to this August House. In fact, will come, because it's an important subject matter, so that the people of Uganda involved in agriculture can know how to access affordable funding to support agriculture.
Bunya East.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Ndugu Prime Minister, we have been reading in the press of recent that the President has got a priority list of people who call him directly. And equally, that there are those who have been deleted without notice. Right Honourable Prime Minister, the public would like to know who are these on this priority list, and who determines who is to be deleted and when. And Right Honourable Prime Minister, is there any policy to guide this communication in the highest office? I thank you.
To guide the deletions and the...
Is your name there? Where is your name?
Right Honourable Speaker, I'm being educated about a phone book somewhere by His Excellency the President, which I'm not aware of. But really, I think it is also true that each of us has a list of people you call frequently and the like. If such a thing happened, it wouldn't shock me or surprise me. But I propose, Right Honourable Speaker, that we do not engage into private searching of various lists. It may cause confusion and break privacy.
Thank you. I'll now have Jury Pakwach Butaleja.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Prime Minister, may I seek to know from you when government of Uganda will ratify the African Union Charter on democracy, elections, and governance that was signed in 2011 at the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa. Thank you.
Right Honourable.
Right Honourable Speaker, I don't have any specific detailed information as to when, but I see no problem in principle in signing a charter of that nature. Nevertheless, we will ask the minister responsible to inform this House on the details of ratification, and if there are hitches or problems, to explain them to this August House.
Pakwach, District.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, in 2014, parts of Pakwach were connected to the West Nile power grid, and a number of people were affected, some of which were compensated last year. May I therefore know from the Prime Minister why about 30% of the people who opened accounts, government asked them to open accounts, and up to today, they have not been compensated. I thank you.
Right Honourable.
Right Honourable Speaker, there are quite a number of reasons why compensations delay or are not made. One is resources. Two is delays in resolving disputes. We'll be interested to get details and then dig more, find out why there is a delay, and inform the honourable member the way forward in resolving this matter.
Butaleja, District.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Prime Minister, last year I put to you a question concerning the rehabilitation of Busolo Hospital in Butaleja District. And you told me that as soon as the funds are available, it will be rehabilitated. Right Honourable Prime Minister, this parliament appropriated money to that effect. But when I went to the ministry, I was not given a proper answer. I was even with the minister herself who is here. Maybe as the head of government business, may you give me an answer that I will take to the Bataleja on when this hospital will be rehabilitated. And you know very well that whenever it rains heavily in Bataleja, we get a problem of cholera due to the fertile soils from the Elgon region. May I get the answer, Honorable Prime Minister?
Right Honorable.
Right Honourable Speaker, I delayed a bit because I was carrying out an intensive consultation with my sister, Honourable Sarah, the Honourable Minister of State for Health, on Busoro Hospital. It is true Busoro Hospital has got money from our Spanish friends, but it is true that the Ministry of Finance is still mobilizing counterpart funding, and that's why there is a bit of delay. Nevertheless, this is really an old hospital, a well-known hospital, and a well-known problem. We will work with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that the counterpart funding for Busorwe is mobilized.
Soroti Dogolo.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, we are in 2019 and we are counting down to 2021. I'm aware that the NRM government had a policy in its manifesto to construct silos in all the regions of this country. I have been fearing the weather patterns in this country, and yesterday finally the Minister for State Disaster Preparedness confirmed my fears that weather is expected to become, we expect a lot of rains that may cause disaster in this country. And with so much rain, you know that there's going to be destruction of crops, there's going to be shortage of food, there's going to be famine. May I know what government is doing? One, to harness the water that is expected to come, and two, to prepare, to protect and preserve the people of Uganda and prevent famine from taking away their lives.
Right Honorable.
Right Honourable Speaker, we share the view of the importance of storage capacity in our country. Government would be very willing to invest in this sector. Nevertheless, resources are not as readily available. We have, however, encouraged the private sector to invest in this area, and I'm happy to say that the response of the private sector is good, and substantial amount of storage capacity has already been constructed and is being constructed, and we expect that this will reduce the pressure for storage that my sister is talking about.
Dokolo District.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask the Prime Minister to tell the House what his office has done, because in financial year 2017-2018, Parliament resolved that government reviews unit cost structure of roads in Uganda with the intention of ascertaining cost of roads construction. May we know what the unit cost of national roads construction is in Uganda?
Right Honourable Speaker, this is a subject matter that the country is very interested in and has been in public domain. And the government has taken a position, actually the Cabinet has also discussed it, taken a position that UNRWA should carry out studies so that we know the estimated or indicative costs of upgrading roads, specific roads, so that when we advertise, put them in the media to say, we want to do Mbale Soroti Road. UNRWA will be already having its own indicative figures so that the bidders, 10, 20, when they put in their bids and their figures, they will be compared with their own indicative figures, and that will guide the final decision. So in a nutshell, a lot of work has been done and continues to be done on that subject matter with a view to saving the country resources on upgrading of roads.
Mwara Bukoto, Mwara District, Bukoto South.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Rwampara.
Right Honourable Prime Minister, in 2014, the heads of states of the 54 countries adopted a protocol ratifying the Pan-African Parliament into a fully legislative body. However, Uganda is among those that endorsed. And based on those, the president of Uganda is among those who committedly guided the African Union in ensuring that the issues that are in that declaration are put forward. But to date, despite the commitment from the president in terms of talking and the speeches that he gave to the African Parliament, the country, Uganda, has not ratified the said protocol amended. I would like to know from you, Right Honourable Prime Minister, why is this delay? While most of the countries are looking at Uganda as one of the role models in addressing issues of Pan-Africanism and unification of the continent.
Right,
I would like to know.
Right Honourable Speaker, Uganda is not going to lose her leadership role in promoting Pan-Africanism because of the delay that my sister has talked about. So we are going to look at this as quickly as possible and ensure that it is ratified. Nevertheless, when President Museveni verbalized, spoke in support, he was not merely talking, he meant business. So he meant business and we are going to ratify it. There is no way how Uganda would object to consolidating the Pan-African Parliament.
Bukoto South.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Prime Minister, has the government taken into consideration the costs of buying ferries, maintaining them, and replacing them over time vis-a-vis constructing permanent bridges over short distances?
Right Honourable.
Right Honourable Speaker, government believes in a multimodal transport system. In some areas you need bridges, in some areas you need ferries, in others you need boats, others you need trains, and even others you need planes. So multimodal transportation system is what we support, and we'll implement it.
Rwampara.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Prime Minister, the President of this Republic, during his mobilization tours for prosperity, informed this country that there is a new model that has been adopted by government to fight poverty through identification of enterprises. and trade in this country. Since his visit, the country is very anxious and we are waiting for that program, the details and implementation. Right Honorable Prime Minister, can you tell us when that program will begin and how it will begin so that we can address the poverty in our areas through that program? I thank you very much.
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, the visit of the zonal tours of the President were very successful. A number of programs were indeed announced and raised by His Excellency the President, discussed with various people and various leaders. So the line ministries are embarking on implementation, and my brother from Rwampara should work closely with the government to see the implementation of what the President talked about.
Busongora South, Kabweri, Butabo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Prime Minister, my constituency is divided. It has both animals and people. My constituency covers almost 80% of Queen Elizabeth National Park. And there has been a conflict, which government has known. In or around this year, we lost 10 lions because of the conflict over the boundaries. I have written several letters and made contacts with the Minister of Tourism to ensure that proper boundaries are created within the areas and the sanctuaries in the national park. Can I know from you, Honorable Right Prime Minister, despite the conflict, why it has taken long for government to open up boundaries between the animals and the people?
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable colleague will know that actually Queen Elizabeth National Park is one of those that the ministry responsible for tourism has started on with electric fencing. And the ministry is going on ahead to ensure that that is done. Secondly, the issue of conflict between the Wananchi and the animals is quite sharp in that area because, as you very well know, within the national park, there are some enclaves of people, and a final solution will have to be found to make sure that that relationship is handled well, because I don't see a permanent close relationship with those enclaves, especially as the animals increase in numbers and the population increase in numbers. The conflict is bound to increase. Nevertheless, the minister responsible is taking measures to deal with the matter, including electric fencing.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, Kabweri, this side. I'm still this side.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, in August last year, 2018, the Minister of Agriculture, through NADS and Operation Wealth Creation, signed contracts with nursery seed producers to produce all the seed that this country needed for distribution this year, 2019, for the first and the second season. After the farmers produced this seed, having borrowed lots of money and things, Operation Wealth Creation did not buy the seed, did not buy the seedlings. And many farmers, many seed farmers and nursery operators are stuck with this seed. It's actually worth 98 billion shillings, 166 million and something. These farmers created jobs for people. And I think they actually deserve to be taken care of through being paid for what they produced. They cannot make any use of what they have, and NADS is not buying The interest rates have gone up, and some farmers have actually committed suicide. Yes, it is as serious as that. It's a breach of contract. The process of selecting these farmers was very well laid out. And now,
microphone.
I request that these farmers, seedling farmers, be taken care of and their seedlings be paid for so they can take care of the big bank loans they took and they can pay their workers. I beg to submit. Thank you very much.
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member is raising a serious point which affects quite a number of areas in the country. It is true there have been issues concerning contracts and who and how much of the seedlings should have been produced. When the government announced, there was overwhelming response, and it's true, more seedlings were produced than could be absorbed. But the Minister of Agriculture, operation
Mpango is a celebration that marks the day King Oyo was enthroned after the death of his father, Omkama Patrick Olimi Kaboyo, in 1995. On Thursday, the 12th of September 2019, all roads will lead to Karuzika Royal Palace in Fort Portal, Kabarole District, for the commemoration of the 24th coronation anniversary of Omkama Oyo Nyimba Kamambe Guru Rukidi IV. Join us on UBC TV on the 12th of September 2019 as we bring you the live broadcast of Mpango celebrations under the theme, Conserving the Environment is Saving Lives.
333. What's up with number 3? It's 3 at Airtel and not 4 anymore. It's 3 shillings per second across all networks in Uganda.
Make calls from Airtel to all networks at 3 shillings per second. Get to talk to anyone on any network anytime at 3 shillings per second. Ha ha!
Airtel, the smartphone network. Airtel is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
Up next on UBC, brought to you by Airtel, the smartphone network.
Habari kutoka hapa UBC TV ikisomwa nami Bella Masangano. Tunaanza moja